Hey, I'm V7451 and I'm going to make a tutorial on how I normally draw eyes like this. There's going to be a few others obviously because I have many different ways of drawing eyes, and the speed thing had to be sped up, so I'm going to be talking over at a different speed. Anyway, so we start off and we draw an eye. It has to be in a certain shape, so normally you would line it up by drawing some kind of semicircle, but then cutting off the top and then draw that shape on the end. So you're aiming to get something around that shape. Of course, you can play around with liquify or whatever to get the desired shape. Then I would normally map out where you would put the iris with a square or something, and then just do a mini sketch of how to draw the eye. So I'm just gonna stop talking for a while the sketch is being done. Just there's an example of me using the liquify pen to try and even it out slightly. Then going on to the line art. Line art normally has many different types, and you would for example, use different textures and different line weight. I'll go into that in a few minutes. But for example, do you just draw your sketch like normal? You draw over your sketch as by setting it to a certain opacity, and then you draw over it with more sharp lines. I'd recommend using line stabilizer, which can be found where that finger icon is. Anyway, so ignore some of the stuff I'm doing here. I have no idea what was going on. Also, these parts at the bottom of the eye are normally very important. It doesn't look like much, but it makes a very big impact. I've learnt that from past experiences. Anyway, as for how line and shape works, I'm going to show you a cube. And normally you would put bigger, thicker lines where more shadows are, and this can show more shadow is being projected to a certain amount and more weight is being added. So you would normally add this to a place that would have more weight than the rest of the others. For example, I'm putting this at the bottom of the eyelash, the bottom of the eye, and in some other places like at the top of the eye. I'd recommend using these places if you draw for yourself, because they're normally, once again, with all the impacts and everything, they're very useful. Then to go on to colouring, just select your colours, and it doesn't matter if it's messy at first, because you're going to kind of rearrange it to the layer below the sketch, and then everything will be able to show through. There we go. So I'm just going to do a pink eye, and I would normally recommend putting it for brown as the eyelids. However, you can for that mini eye part, you can choose whatever colour you want, but there's just me filling in everything. By the way, sorry if I sound really awkward, I don't have a script, I'm just reading this kind of off from my mind, and I don't normally talk a lot, so... So now we've got the coloured thing, and I'm just going to fill in the pupil, and there we go, selection. And I want you to select the iris and then go into another layer and then get the airbrush out. Now, brushes are very important. I normally don't use a wide variety of brushes, but as you can see, I shaded in a certain part here, which is the top, so that normally adds a bit of shadow and depth into the eye, and kind of round it at the bottom. Once again, that one mini feature is actually really useful. Now, to draw two mini circles at the bottom of the eye, not proper circles like semicircles, as if they're connecting from the top part of the eye. Then just darken up this higher part up here, and then go on to add and draw whatever shape you want. I was originally going to go for a heart, but quite obviously I messed up. So I feel like it would have ended up really cute if I did keep it as a heart anyway, but I just went for this average circle. Of course you can choose whatever you want, it's not more basic to do whatever. And one thing is that darker lighting actually helps a lot. However, I'd recommend using a dark red for lighting if you want it to be more of a warmer tone, but I'd recommend doing it on another layer, otherwise the colours may get mixed up as darker and lighter. So then unselect that, and then to do the highlights, so basically reflections. Now, these are normally actually in the shape of squares, just slightly figured differently. If you don't know how to do that, I'd recommend using either lasso tool or using liquidify. As once again, liquidify actually helps quite a lot, but I barely ever use liquidify. So normally when drawing highlights in the eyes, you would start off with like a black circle and then put a white circle, and it's normally to like outline it slightly. So also drawing these around the eye, these kind of shapes also helps adding like extra personality and stuff. Now, I kind of regret putting these dots in the eyes, but it worked well with other drawings. I don't think what I ended up with now ended out very well, but of course I am gonna show some more tutorials if this one gets like a certain amount of views. I'm not sure, but how to draw different types of eyes. So I'd connect those like that and then add extra darkness here. Now gonna create some more lighting, and of course you can just add those all over the drawing wherever you want to add them. Just add some extra colors, which also helps give a lot of personality, which is quite, I'm actually rephrasing quite often, sorry about that. And then you need to slightly lighten up the pupil, or if your eye is slightly darker, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Now the shadow of the eye is actually a shade of purple. It's like a desaturated purple, and I'd say it's better when you're using a grey, even though grey can look lovely. Also, blue can be used. I'm pretty sure yellow, but I'm not too sure. Also, what I said again about the using red for the lighting, it seems impractical, but it's actually really useful. Ignore what I just did there, because I completely messed up. And to add crystal themed lighting, just do like kind of cross shapes with the lasso tool, fill it in with that, and then lower the opacity. Just place it wherever you want on the drawing, and I think it just creates a really nice and pretty effect and stuff. So I'm just gonna add some more lighting and stuff, those stuff. Oh yeah, and now to add a water reflection. Now, adding water actually isn't as difficult. Just create these mini scales with white, and then all you need to do is set it to an add layer and then change the opacity. I would say I actually learned how to draw water sometime last year, and I've been using the exact same technique, even though my art style has improved so much. However, this is probably one of the most efficient ways to draw it, and to normally move it down to there-ish where you would want the reflection to be. I'm now just going to add some blue ambience aura, because adding aura with your drawings actually helps quite a lot. Now, different lightings can have to do with different things, and it depends with the rest of your colour scheme where your drawing would like you to place these things. But I would say that it works adding a lot of reds and blues, as they're very common colours. Now just add white reflections wherever you want to do it, just whatever shape. It doesn't really matter, it just adds like a lot of stuff. And don't really do what I did here, or if you try to do it, just try and do it better than I did. But just like add an extra, like finish off the circle if you want to. And look, in some drawings it looks better, in some drawings it looks worse. I think in my case it kind of made it slightly worse. But I'm pretty sure now, I'm gonna slightly layer up the reflections, the first ones, the primary ones, because that will help a lot. And if you want to, you can light up the pupil once again, but sometimes it just doesn't really fit, and I tried fixing it here, but it just really looks embarrassing because I failed. So yeah, don't do what I just did as well. I used to do that, and it would like get rid of the personality in my drawings. I'm not telling you not to do it. I should go ahead, do whatever you want. I bet your art will be absolutely beautiful. But if you want to follow like the certain, like make it look as accurate as this drawing here, then I would recommend not doing that, or using slightly more saturated drawings. Now I'm going to move on to the iris and just like kind of add shadows with the airbrush. Also make sure to draw lines, as that's basically where it connects. I don't know why people do that, but it just looks really good. So then normally add lighting with airbrush. Airbrush is really useful, and it doesn't seem at the beginning. It kind of goes on a timeline. So when you first start art, it's really useful. Then when you get into a certain phase, it isn't useful. And as you can see, I was just adding these. And then suddenly, all of a sudden, it just becomes really useful for stuff. So I'm just adding a bit more details here, and I think we should be done. I would have definitely got rid of those parts at the bottom if I could, but now I'm kind of recording the audio. I'm just going to add some lighting with airbrush once again, using like a kind of amber tone aura, and I think this creates warmth very easily again. And once again, what I said about the whole you need to do the black outline, and I've got that there, and just gonna add some even more lighting because I don't know, but